Hey people, I welcome you all to Caroline's Online Academy. Today I've come with a couple of questions which require you to calculate opening capital of partnership firm. Now, why I chose this topic was because all this while the CBSE have been asking questions of a certain pattern which require you to calculate calculation of opening capital. And in sample question paper 2020-2021, they've slightly changed the question pattern, and hence the way you work out the calculation of opening capital should also be changed to a certain extent. The basic concepts are the same, but then they made given a small twist in the question which require you to think a little differently. This video will also be relevant for CA foundation students as this is also part of their syllabus. The question pattern that is usually asked and which is also there in an NCERT as an NCERT solved illustration is Josh and Krish, the problem number one, which is Josh and Krish are partners sharing profits and losses in the ratio 3. Their capitals at the end of the financial year were 1,50,75. They've given the drawings of the partners and they've given the profit before charging interest on capital for as 16,000 rupees. The most important thing here is interest on capital has not yet been provided to the partners. This is the profit before charging interest on capital, and interest on capital has not yet been provided. And Krish has brought in an additional capital of 16,000. You're supposed to calculate interest on capital at the rate of 12%. Why I told interest on capital not being provided as the most important thing is that is the difference between this question and the new question that is asked in sample question paper. Anyway, when you look at the second question, you will understand how it makes it changes things. As of now, let's just focus on solving this problem. Unless otherwise mentioned, interest on capital has to be calculated on the opening capital of the partners. But in this question, they've only given us the closing capital. We know that when you add additional investment of the partners and share of profits made during the year and deduct drawings, you can arrive at closing capital. So in order to go in the reverse, that is from closing capital to opening capital, you need to just do the reverse. That is, from closing capital, you need to deduct additional investment, add the drawings made during the year, and reduce the profit share that the partners received from the profits earned during the year, and you'll get opening capital. So solving this question was pretty easy once you understood these things. Let's go ahead and solve the problem number one. We have closing capital of 1,50,000 and 75,000 for Josh and Krish. Josh has not made any additional investments, while Krish has made an additional investment of 16,000 rupees. And then we have drawings of rupees 20,000 for Josh and 5,000 for Krish. And profit share. We have 16,000 as a profit. Entire profit 16,000 had been divided in the ratio of 3:1 because no interest on capital has been provided. So all of that would have got divided in the profit sharing ratio only, and therefore you will have Josh would have got 3/4 of 16,000, which is 12,000, and Krish would have got 1/4 of 16,000, which is 4,000. So that gives us the opening capital for Josh and Krish, okay, which happens to be 1,58,000 and 16,000. In the case of Josh, all we have to do is just apply the percentage of rate of interest on capital, and you will arrive at the answer. But for Krish, it's a little different because the 60,000 was the opening capital, but he has invested additional 16,000 during the month of October, and therefore the total interest on capital for Krish would be this 12% on the 60,000. That was the capital throughout the year, and 12% on 16,000 for 6 months, the period for which he had made the additional investment. I'm not elaborating on this because we solve a lot of questions with additional in capital investment. So you probably are well versed with this already. 60,000. All right, so that would be 8,160 rupees. So It's as simple as that. You just arrive at the opening capital from the closing capital, and then you just apply the percentage, and then you can find out the interest on capital. Now, the second problem is slightly different from the first problem, which makes it a little bit complicated. The second problem was asked for 4 marks in the sample question paper. Let's check out the second problem now. The second problem, we have A and B as partners sharing profits and losses in the ratio 3:2. The firm maintains fluctuating capital accounts and balance of the same as on 31st March 2020, which is the closing balance, okay, is 1,60,000 and 1,40,000 for A and B respectively. Their drawings during the year were 30,000 each. As per the partnership deed, interest on capital at the rate of 10% per annum on opening capitals had been provided to them. In the earlier question, interest on capital was not at all provided, but in this question, interest on capital had been provided. It had already been provided. So, which means that, and they've also given us the profits before interest on capital. Calculate opening capital of the partners given the profits were 90,000. Okay. So they've given us the 90,000 profits before calculation of interest on capital, but interest on capital has been provided, which means that this profit would have got shared amongst the partners as two things. A certain portion of this profits would have gone as interest on capital to X, in this case A and B. So A and B, and the remaining would have gone to the partners as share of profits in their profit sharing ratio, A and B. The ratio in which this portion of this 90,000 would have gone to partners is 3:1, 3:2 as given in the question. The ratio in which this portion, interest on capital portion of the 90,000 would have gone to A and B is the capital, is a ratio in which the opening capitals were there, okay, which we do not know. That is what we have to calculate. In order to find out how much interest on capital would have gone to A and B, we need the opening capital. But in order to find out the opening capital, we need the amount of interest on capital. Unlike the first question, because in the first question, you did not require the amount of interest on capital, as interest on capital had not been provided at all. The entire 16,000 was shared in 3:2 ratio only. So we just divided it and reduced it from the closing capital in order to arrive at the opening capital. But in this case, interest on capital had already been provided. So in order to find out interest on capital, you need opening capital. In order to find out opening capital, you need interest on capital. So it's like a vicious circle. So you really don't know where to start and how to end this. You have to assume something to be a variable and solve this. So what we can do is, in order to solve this question, it provides a complication like this. I'll also explain to you why the interest on capital would have got divided in the capital ratio, because usually interest on capital is calculated on the capitals of the partners. So assume X is the total amount of capital of A, and Y is the total amount of capital of B. The ratio in which the interest on capitals will be is 12% into X is to 12% into Y. 12% will get cancelled. So the ratio of the interest on capital in which the total interest on capital would have got divided is the capital ratio. But then we don't have the capital, so we cannot calculate that. But what we know is this entire 90,000 has gone to A and B only. It has not gone to anyone else. It has gone to A and B. The ratio in which it has gone, we don't know. But the entire 90,000 has gone to them. So what we can do is we can add the closing capitals of A and B and deduct the entire 90,000. We don't know how much of this 90,000 has gone to A and how much of this 90,000 has gone to B, because we don't know how much interest had gone to A and how much interest had gone to B. But this entire 90,000 would have gone to A and B. So if you total the closing capital of both the partners, you can deduct the total profit share, including the interest on capital from them, to arrive at the total opening capital. And after you have arrived at the total opening capital, you can arrive at the total interest on capital on that. Let me show you how. Let's just fill this up. As of now, we have opening capital of 1,60,000 and 1,40,000. There is no additional investment in this question. And we have drawings of 30,000 each. And in order to find out the profit share of the partners, we'll have to work out a little bit. Okay. In order to do that, I've taken the total capital of the partners together and I'm adding it up. So that would be 3 lakhs. And to that, I'm adding the total drawings, which is 60,000, 30,000 for A and 30,000 for B. And I'm reducing the total profit share, including the interest on capital, which is 90,000. That gives us the total opening capital of both the partners. We don't know how much of this belongs to A and how much of this belongs to B. And we have arrived at the interest on capital at interest on capital is told to be 10% of the opening capital. So the interest on capital has to be 27,000. So how much would have got divided in the profit sharing ratio? Out of the 90,000, 12% belong, 27,000 is interest on capital. So remaining would be the share of profits apportioned amongst the partners, and that would be 63,000. Understood, children? Just to be sure. That would be 63,000. Understood? So this 63,000 would have got divided in the profit sharing ratio, while this 27,000 would have got divided in the ratio of the opening partners opening capital. Okay. So in order to find out how much the opening capital is, first let me reduce the profit share from the partners closing account, closing capital. So that would be your 63,000 into 3/5, the profit sharing ratio, and 63,000 into 2/5, again the profit sharing ratio. So now we have the opening capital before adjustment for interest on capital, and this opening capital only would be used to apportion the total interest of 27,000. Understood? So the total interest of 27,000 would have got divided in the ratio of 1,52,200 is to 1,44,800. So for A, it would be 27,000 into 1,52,200 divided by 1,52,200 plus 1,44,800. So that would be, we need to remove the commas, 13,836 rupees. And for B, it would be same thing, but in the numerator, you will have 1,44,800. $13,164, and hence the opening capital of the partners would have been opening capital before adjustment for interest on capital minus the interest on capital amount, which is 1,38,364 for A and 1,31,636. So the opening capital problem, similar opening capital problem, earlier it used to be asked like this. To my knowledge, they have not asked a question like this for calculation of opening capital till now. In none of the sample question papers I had seen, or in the previous question papers I have seen, but I'm a human, I can make mistakes, and this you probably would have seen it. But whether they've asked it or not, this is different from the questions that we usually solve in classrooms. And therefore, it is important that we understand this question. Okay. I hope this video was useful to you. In case you have any questions or doubts and whatever explanation I gave, kindly comment and ask how we arrived at a certain thing or whatever. If you like the video, share, subscribe, and of course, comment, like, whatever. And thank you so much for watching. You people have a great day and have fun. Bye.